we are here with Ben from Stichting Acutis. He's in the Netherlands, and he's going to share with us what that name means and so much more. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you to have me.
Thank you.
So, first of all, what does that name mean?
Yeah, so Stichting Acutis, it sounds maybe a little bit crazy, but stichting is simply just the Dutch word for foundation. So we're actually the Dutch foundation of Carlo Acutis. You probably know Carlo Acutis, of course. We're actually a foundation that's focused on the Eucharist, especially for the Netherlands. Yes.
That's wonderful. So, obviously, we love Carlo Acutis. His mom's in the movie, and she's been a great support for us so far. So, how did you find Acutis, and what's driven you and your friends and group to go deep into him?
Yeah, I found first Eucharistic miracles, and later I found Carlo Acutis. So it's the other way around. When I saw the Eucharistic miracles, especially the ones that were how do you say that? Where there's some evidence of. I just love that because I'm really focused on rational thinking instead of only emotions. And later on, I found out that Carlo Acutis had a website with different Eucharistic miracles. And I had a dream that to have written a book about those miracles. And I wanted to bring this into a foundation. And I thought, Carlo Acutis inspired me, so let's name it after him. And in that way, we found more than only one project to work on regarding to the Eucharist. And we're a young, driven team, 9 members. And everyone has its own view on the love for the Eucharist.
That is great. So, what about Eucharistic miracles really drew your attention? We've met people that, they're like, we believe, we don't need miracles. But I always think it's really nice to have. What is it that you'd like to share about that?
When I talk about the Eucharistic miracles, I indeed hear a lot of people saying, like, you don't need it. You just have to blindly believe it. And for some people, it might work, and that's great. But as we know, one of the apostles also needed proof before he believed that Jesus was resurrected. And well, maybe it's not the best way to believe, because Jesus says later on, blessed be the people that believe before seeing it. But yeah, if still Jesus showed himself, and I think those miracles are also for those people. And if 1/12 of the people get to know Jesus in the Eucharist via these miracles, I think that's just great, and I'm happy to be one of them.
That's fantastic. I want to ask you, it's something, for the viewer, I try always to think about questions that might help the viewer. You say there was something happen to you within the Eucharist, within down there. How can you word it? What is the difference between what you felt and what somebody else probably they driving for it, they're seeking something like that? Obviously, like Carlo Acutis really hit a big target. And if that's what we feel here, Carlo Acutis felt more. But can you put in words? What emotions, what event happened? What is that's something special you have now you had back then when you make you motivating to start this beautiful journey versus what you had before? What was the difference?
Yeah, so before I was working at a big accounting firm, and I already knew that I wanted to do something greater than just finances, but I didn't know exactly what. So in this period, I was a student, and in our student house, it was called Villa Vaticana. And yeah, there I found out about the Eucharistic miracles because I had a conversation with a Protestant friend, and I found out about those miracles. And yeah, to describe the emotion is very hard because I haven't had that kind of feeling before. It was like the knowing that it was true. And of course, I knew that there was also probably some misinformation about it, but it was like something hitting you with wake up. It's true. It's not only just a dream. It's not only just something that your parents told you, but here I am. This is me in the Eucharist. So I also remember going to the priest the day after to go for confession. I was asking about the miracles, if it is indeed true or if it's just fake news. And I felt like I was living in a different mode. It's funny because later on I asked the priest if he still remembered when I went there, what was a big moment for me. He was like, I don't remember it anymore. So that's funny, I think. And so yeah, I just dig more into it. Later on, I also stopped at the accounting firm because I wanted to do, as I said before, something greater. And that was the moment that I really began to read the Bible. As a Catholic, I I began later on with the Bible in a Year by Van Mike Schmitz. And well, we hit John chapter 6, and yeah, that was the second time it really hit me. And since then, I knew Stichting Acutis is something I have to start, even though that means that I cannot work full time. It's something I want to share. I need to share, and yeah, the people I found around me, it's amazing.
How did you find those to join you on your team?
To begin with, I don't know how to say it in English, but I think something like the board of directors or something. So like the treasurer and things like that. Those are just my old student house, the people I lived with. So that was pretty easy. But then, yeah, I just needed to find employees and volunteers for the projects, and that it happened in several ways because we're with 9 people now, and it all has an amazing story where you really see that God is working through the projects. I'll just give an example of Wouter. Wouter is someone who really wants to work for the church, and he is a young married man, and he has a child now also. He wants to become deacon later on, but he is currently too young for that. So he wanted to do something for the church, but didn't know what. And this job he wanted to have at Stichting Acutis, it was there exactly on time. He moved to another city because he thought he could work for another church, still Catholic, but somewhere different. And last minute, they said that it's not possible to work there anymore. So he didn't have a job anymore. And exactly in that time, I was searching for someone. So it's perfectly timed. And yeah, also the other people also have amazing stories, like Simone and Robin. Everyone has its story.
That is great. So, out of all the Eucharistic miracles you've looked at, what is your favorite and why?
Yeah, so We are mainly focused with our projects on 4 Eucharistic miracles because we can really dig into it because the studies are published. So then I'm talking about Lanciano, 2 from Buenos Aires, and the 1 from Tixla. I think my favorite will be the one from Tixla, because if I remember correctly, that was the one that converted the researcher into the Catholic faith. So that showed for me that if an atheist really, really digs into it, then he sees what is the truth. And that shows more for me than if a Catholic researcher sees the results and yes, he or she might be biased. So I think that for Castagnon, who was the researcher, that was what I really liked.
When you're sharing these miracles or talks on the Eucharist, what have you seen to be most effective in reaching those that aren't Catholic or who have fallen away?
Well, we're not currently really going into debates and stuff because the book is not done yet. We're almost done, but we're still having some minor issues. But of course, we have talked to different people about it. So I see that a lot of Protestant brothers and sisters really are interested in this. Actually, more than the Catholic people I speak about it, and that's I think really amazing. And of course, only the people who are open for it. Of course, if people really hate the Catholic Church, then it won't be an opening. And what they really like about the projects we have is that we are focused on the truth. And when we see something that might discredit it, we still call it, we still say it. So we don't think like, oh, this seems like it could be fake. We still mention it. And I think that's a good thing. And we also have one person joining our project who isn't Catholic, who isn't even Christian. And we did that on purpose because we wanted it to be unbiased. And I think that's really a great combination to bring those facts actually to the people in the Netherlands and maybe also abroad.
You choose Carlo Acutis. Why Carlo Acutis? Why don't do something just for yourself? I mean, why you thought to rely on Carlo Acutis? Because I mean, if you had a dream and he appeared to you, it's okay, I'm following down there. Or what was about him that you thought about? For example, for us, for our movie that we are making, was extremely providential for me and Ray. And Ray, you can tell your story about it. I mean, but I think me being in Italy and there was some little personal things that happened that I mean helped me to give me that more three-dimensional aspect of the Eucharist. And we saw many miracles that happened through this movie. I mean, thanks to him and her mother. So I kind of like wondering is that this is what was him, because there are so many saints that speaking about Eucharist. I mean, there's so many beautiful testimony. Why you thought to embrace his journey, and what was it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So first of all, we are really a team with young people. The oldest person is not even 30 years old. So everyone is between 20 and 30 years old. Of course, we have some volunteers who are older, but the main people working on it. So we really like to have someone who is who's young. Also who is not a priest or something, because we are also not a priest or nun or anything else. also, we wanted it to be focused on Eucharist. And we were searching for a name that is focused on the Eucharist. But if you are selling, for example, a book, and the book is about the facts of the Eucharistic miracles, and it's already called the foundation of the love for the Eucharist, well, I don't think anyone who isn't Catholic wants to read it. So it's first of all a marketing thing. But secondly, also because we want it really to be focused on the Eucharist and on Carlo Acutis, because for the young people who wants to have this example of a saint. And if we are giving it another name that is more focused on that is my dream, for example, Stichting Ben Tax or something, well, I don't want the credits. It's God's work. I truly believe that, and I don't need credits for it. And Carlo Acutis, I think he is a great saint, and I think having his name attached to it, and of course praying with him, it really adds something to our organization, actually. Yeah.
In pretty short time, so you were able to build up a team with all these people that they all love Carlo Acutis. Did they all had this encounter for the Eucharist and stuff, or they were just being hired to be part of it, and then things develop?
So we have one person who isn't even Catholic, who isn't even Christian, so he didn't know about Carlo Acutis at all. But besides him, everyone is Catholic, and like really Catholic. And it's really, some people are more like Orthodox. Orthodox is the right word for it. And some people are, for example, we have one people from the Neo-Catechumenate. So that's more, yeah, like the Vatican II people. So we have really different kinds of people working on it, and they have in common indeed that they really love the Eucharist. And well, one person is more focused on really Eucharistic adoration and the traditional mass and stuff like that. We also have people who are more focused on the love of God via the Eucharist. So it varies a lot. Everyone has in his or her own way the love for the Eucharist. And yeah, that doesn't only work for our employees, we also for our volunteers, our donors, and yeah, so that's it, I think. Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of your peers aren't as zealous into the faith. What would you say to those that, you know, look at you and what you're doing and are like, why would he pursue something like that?
So as I said before, I'm not really an emotional guy in the way that if I feel something, then it must be true. Now, for me, two things are of most importance. One, is it true? Second, is it what's the impact of it? So if something isn't true, then well, it can be a hobby, but that's it. If it's true but it doesn't have an impact, then well, yeah, my car is blue, but that doesn't really care. So I would like to say to those people, look at those things that are true, that can be verified, or at least be certain at some level. For example, if there's a new religion that's only 2 years old, might be different than a religion that's already 2000 years old, plus some history before that. And secondly, what's the impact of it? If Catholic Church is true, and if the Eucharist is really Jesus, it means that if you reject Jesus, reject the Eucharist, you reject Jesus. And if you accept the Eucharist, you accept Jesus. And that's actually a quote from also Father Mike Schmitz I used over there. But it's really true. And let's say that it's still very beautiful, the Eucharist, but it's not true. Then that would mean that we are adoring just a piece of bread. And if that would be the case, then we're not doing the right thing. And I think that is really important to know, that if the Catholic Church is true about this subject, then it really means you can have Jesus. If it's not, then it would be a very, very, very big sin, what we all are doing. And don't be afraid to say that also to your Protestant brothers and sisters. You can just say, if we are not true about the Eucharist, we are the biggest sinners in the whole world. And they will be shocked. You say that about yourself. And I see that when I start with that in having a discussion with friends who are not Catholic, it's a bigger opening than beginning with facts and beginning with the Eucharist in depth and stuff like that. So begin with that, I would say.
What is the goal for your group? I mean, what you guys are hoping to achieve by doing this one? Yeah.
Yeah, so Stichting Acutis, it has the mission to improve the love for the Eucharist and also the knowledge of the Eucharist in the Netherlands. So via catechesis and evangelization, and also some other projects. We see in the West, especially in the USA, but also with our neighbors in Belgium and Germany, that the church is not going to the right way sometimes. So, for example, in Germany, of course, you've probably heard of it, with the bishops going against the Vatican. So the Netherlands, we actually had this period already. So we are on our way back, actually, and we have great bishops. I really love all of them. It's I think it's the thing that separates us from Belgium and Germany. I don't know about their bishops, but at least we have great ones. And I want to keep the Netherlands safe, that it's not going back because of our neighbors. So that's the first thing. And secondly, also because we see that still people are going to church in the Netherlands, but they don't believe it. It's just nice to go to church, have a coffee afterwards, most of the times in the church. They don't know what they are doing, and it's not because they don't want to know. It's not because they just really want the coffee in church. They don't know it, and we want to contribute to it. And we are also we are really open, so we also have the discussions with the bishops. We are not an organization of the church, but of course we listen to the bishops if they have to say something about it. Yeah, so it's really, again, to focus on the Eucharist in the Netherlands.
Why don't let it do it this what you do in the church, and why you think, I mean, you had to move to do something? I mean, some people say, okay, I mean, I love the Eucharist things, but I have my work, I have my things, I mean, and that's something the church is supposed to do. I mean, I'm not a priest, I'm not a deacon. So why, I mean, let them doing this kind of stuff. They have the gift, yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually because of the Pope. The Pope, he said several times that it's the period of the laity. The laity have to stand up. Pope Francis said it, and probably also other people said it. And that gave me energy to work for it. Of course, we listen to the priests and stuff. We don't think that we are above them or something. Of course not. However, not however, also, I am from a very entrepreneurial family. So it's also in my blood to do something if I think it's important. And this is for me the most important thing in my life. So if I cannot work on it, then yeah, I cannot work in finances for a random company. Well, I think those things should be done.
What are you thinking so far about what we are doing? I mean, this movie, this stuff. I mean, how you seen? I mean, that I mean, the need for something like that for the people.
Yeah, so we are already starting with our book, as I said before, and I think that most people currently in this era, they don't like to read, so they want to watch a movie. And I have a lot of people that if I show them a movie of 2 hours or something, okay, they're good with that. But if I give them a book, even if I wrote it myself, they're not going to read it. They will buy it, but they won't read it. I think this would be really helpful. To be honest, I think it would be good to have the movie as well as this book we're written. Of course, there are already books about the Eucharistic miracles. We are focused on the language that even if someone doesn't know anything about biology, he can understand it. So that's a difference between our book and most other books. I think that's great to have the movie as well as some books about it to go more in depth. Yeah, so that I think.
Ben, I appreciate your time today. And where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's www.Stichting Acutis.
And here's a video of how to use the app Ben's team created.
In this video, I will show you how to use the Mis in de Buurt app. So Mis in de Buurt is Dutch and it means Holy Mass in the neighborhood. So you can find a Holy Mass when you're, for example, on vacation in the Netherlands. So this is the main page. Over here you can choose the date, for example, next Sunday. Over here you can choose the time of the Mass. For example, if you want it in the evening. Over here you can choose the city. For example, let's choose Utrecht. And over here we can choose the distance. For example, if you can only travel 1 kilometer, 5 kilometers, or 10 kilometers. You can also choose if you would prefer a Novus Ordo Mass or a Tridentine Mass, so a traditional Latin Mass. With an upcoming update, you can also choose an Eastern Rite. And also there will be a distinction between English Masses or Dutch Masses. So then we can click on Vind, which means find, search. And we find 9 results. And some of them have pictures and some don't. For example, let's have a look at this one. Gerardus Majella-kerk in Utrecht. We can choose to see more information. Here we have the address, a link to Google Maps, to their website, things like that. And also, if you click on more information about the church, in this case meer info over deze kerk, then we see some more pictures, and we can also look at the upcoming masses. So that's basically our website. And in our website, we only have masses of which we are pretty sure that the Roman Rite is celebrated as it should be. For example, there's a Gloria, there is a good distribution of the Holy Communion, Holy Eucharist, and also the Mass times are really up to date. Yeah, so that's basically what our app is. If there are any questions, you can just send an email to our email address, which is shown below, info@missinthebuurt.nl. And also, if you want more information about it, you can click on the menu. Here you can, for example, look at about our app. There's some information about our app, about our organization, because our organization Stichting Acutis has developed this app. And also our team, Ben, so that's me, Wouter, and Frank. And of course, it's also possible to donate to us via this app. As I said before, there will come an update. In this update, this app will also be available in English, so you can understand what this is saying.